All right, everybody, this is Nash here, and today we're going to be talking about the Texas Longhorns' remaining path to make it into the Big 12 championship. Now, at the beginning of the year, the Big 12 championship, that was the goal, and it wasn't just to make it in, but it was to win the Big 12 championship. Steve Sarkisian stated that multiple times. Longhorn fans, that's what we wanted. That was the first step that we wanted to see with this Longhorn program. But the goal still is there. It still is on the table, but it is out of our hands, and we will be looking into that and seeing what needs to happen for the Texas Longhorns to make it into the Big 12 championship. But before we get into that, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what your thoughts are on the remaining path to the Big 12 championship. In that comment section, you can also find a link to Underdog Fantasy Football, where they got some fun prop bets going for Monday Night Football, especially as well. Colt McCoy. I mean, it's really fun to see Colt McCoy playing. Use code NASH for your first deposit match, dollar for dollar, up to $100. All right, everybody. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. So we're going to start out looking at the Big 12 standings. All right. Now, these are the current standings. The conference, it doesn't matter. Yes, TCU, they're 10-0. We're only looking at the conference standings, or the conference win, loss, all that stuff. Outside that, our loss to Alabama doesn't matter. If we won that game, it wouldn't matter. But so Texas Longhorns, the only team at 5-3. Kansas State, who we beat, at 6-2. Oklahoma, they're down there at 3-5. What a fall from grace! I don't know why I said Oklahoma. I meant to say Oklahoma State, but 4-4. Now, Oklahoma State, if we lose this game, it doesn't even matter. So it's pointless because Kansas State would still have the head-to-head even if they lost. But you'll see in a second, we need Kansas State to lose. So, Texas Longhorns, we're big Kansas fans this weekend. Kansas State versus Kansas. And you'll see in a second, that's a Sunflower Showdown. Baylor Bears versus Texas Longhorns. It could be a rivalry. I don't even... This is the point about rivalries with Texas. Some people probably call this a rivalry. I don't care about this. This is not a rivalry. It's not. The only reason why I care about this game is because we need to win this game to make it into the Big 12 championship. But even if we win, if the Kansas State Wildcats win their game, the Texas Longhorns will have one last game, and that will be a bowl game. So, we need Texas Longhorns to make it in. But in order for that to happen, like I said, we need Kansas to win. So, looking at the Sunflower Showdown, this is for the Governor's Cup, State of Kansas. It's a mighty fine trophy right there. Mighty fine trophy. So Kansas, the Jayhawks, they got off to they were pretty hot in the season, and they got to a top rank of 19. They probably should have been ranked higher. Like at the time, it was like, how do y'all only have this team at 19? Like it took them, because Duke was looking good at the beginning of the season. It took them a while to get ranked. But as soon as they did, damn. I mean, TCU, that was like when we saw TCU, we're like, okay, 5-1, Kansas lost 1 point to an undefeated TCU. Okay, all right. And looking back on it, even if they had won a lot more games, that loss still we'd look back on it and be like, okay, hey, TCU is legit this year, so that's acceptable. Oklahoma, they lost to them. Baylor lost to them. Beat Oklahoma State. Now that was at home. Now, so a common theme with a lot of their losses are they're on the road, but it is what it is. They've had an extremely rough stretch to end the season. Now Kansas State, pretty similar. Tulane though, they were a good team, and they still are a good team. They're at 9-2 right now, about to play Cincinnati. Tulane's that's not a bad loss by any means, really. So they had a pretty good start, and not as much of a rough stretch at the end as Kansas. And I don't know if you can really even call it a rough stretch because they lost a game where they actually had a fighting chance versus Texas at the end. And then TCU, a 10-point game to TCU. I mean, they were actually, if I'm correct, they were winning that game for a while, and then in complete TCU fashion, they just come back, cardiac kids, and win the game. So Baylor found that out this weekend. They absolutely did. But so, now that we've kind of seen a little bit, where's the money going? Well, I mean, at this point, it's pretty much a consensus. Everybody wants the money. So when I say the money, these are people with money, real dollar bills, placing money on not just the money line, but overall against the spread. People have Kansas getting their butts whooped by Kansas State, basically. And the team stats, this is where I was really kind of, because I know, y'all should know at this point, I'm a real statistical guy. I like the stats. And yes, the stats can lead us astray, but these make a lot of sense from what we've seen. The passing yards are very similar. Rushing yards per game, very similar. Total yards per game, very similar. Now, Kansas State, yes, they do have a better defense, and we saw that versus Texas. But similar pass yards allowed. A little bit better in the rush yards allowed as well. I mean, they're still similar enough. But the biggest difference is on points per game. Kansas State doesn't allow a lot of points per game. But where really, it's the quarterbacks to me. Look at these quarterbacks. They're basically the same. If you think about it, they're the same dude. Jalen Daniels and Adrian Martinez are the same dude. They're guys that they can, if you allow them to pass the ball on you. But their real threat is where they're going to run on you. And, I mean, it's very similar. Now, Jalen Daniels is a better passer than Adrian Martinez, and I'm not trying to knock his passing ability at all because he's played a lot less. So he is a better passer than Adrian Martinez, but Adrian Martinez is a better rusher. But they're very similar in the fact that they're both dual threat guys. Both teams have really good running backs, and Devin Neal, that dude's a dude. That's a sleeper guy that I'm wanting to keep an eye on for my little dynasty football needs in the future. Deuce Vaughn, already know about him. The receivers, they're very similar in their top receivers. I mean, this is a game that I'm trying to go to the right screen here. What do we know about rivalry games? And I mean, now this rivalry game, it's not really who can really say too much about the rivalry. I looked it up, and it seems like the biggest hyped year that they had was in 2010, where they didn't play the game for whatever odd reason. But that was the most animosity in the rivalry. But these games, who knows? Hopefully for Texas' sake, Kansas goes out there, wins the game. Texas can slide above Kansas State because we have the head-to-head, and we would have the even record if we beat Baylor. Got to handle Baylor day after Thanksgiving. But this should be a fun weekend to watch football. And hopefully our Texas Longhorns can make it into Dallas to play the TCU Horned Frogs one last time and get some sweet revenge. Now, if we don't, I want to see TCU win out and go to the college football playoff. I don't care what they do. If they win out, they deserve it. 100%. They deserve it. All right, everybody. Hope y'all took something away from this video. Be sure to talk to me in the video comment section and let me know. All right. Hook.